Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As promised, I was asked to do a video showing how I color Hannah Lynn hair. So I had mentioned a while back that I don't color Hannah Lynn hair like I do other portraits, like my traditional flicking fun, we'll call it that. So I do Hannah Lynn hair differently. It's kind of like, lately Hannah Lynn pictures have almost been my palette cleanser more than mandalas, but I don't flick the hair. Rarely do I even do a realistic color, but I definitely take a different approach. So there's a ton of ways to color Hannah Lynn hair, so please keep in mind this is just how I do it. This is not right, this is not wrong, this is my way. You don't have to even do it this way. I even use the same technique when coloring it with markers, and that may be where this style kind of originated from, was because this is how I used it for markers. So when you are looking at a Hannah Lynn page, for me, like initially, there was like an urge to just, chunk out the highlights. So this whole thing in the center here would be a highlight, kind of like when I do normal hair, where it curves is the highlight. But I didn't like the way it looked. So a lot of my earlier Hannah Lynn pages did have that, where it was just chunky. And over time, I kind of changed it to where the highlight color is just kind of popping here and there. So like this light pink mixed in with all this purple. See how there's still purple here, purple there. It's not a big chunk, it's just popping out. Now, on a big scale like this, it's not as dramatic, but like say in her Enchanted Faces. So before I do like a tutorial, I kind of wanted to show you some examples. So, so many. Okay, so here's what I mean. See how I have just placed the highlights kind of in areas I want it to show, but not everywhere. I don't have it chunked out either. I don't always use the lightest color. This was one of my earlier days when I was just starting to adjust my style to this way. This one, the reds just didn't work out, so it looks very red. But like some that I just recently finished are probably the best to show you. So see here with the blue how I have the highlight popping through, but the highlight color is actually this very light blue, not this one, but the very light one here. So see how it's just occasionally popping through. Now with my purples, it's going to stand out a lot more, purples and pinks. This one I did a while ago, but see here how I've got the highlights. I just like the way this looks instead of chunking it out and leaving big monster chunks, because I feel like it makes the hair bouncy and whimsical and fun. I mean, it feels like it has more bounce this way. I mean, look at all these luscious curls and curves. If I were to just chunk out this section and have a whole highlight, I just don't feel like it would look as bouncy as just the little glimpses. I'm trying to find the one where I'm using this exact same color combo that you're actually seeing. This isn't it, but this is another example. The light deco pink is actually the highlight. So see, some areas don't even have the deco pink in there and others do. Here's an example with a blue where I very lightly just added the highlights where I wanted to. Goodness gracious, where is the one I just did? This is a larger scale one, just so you can kind of see what I mean. The highlight was this deco pink here, so see, it's not everywhere in the page. Okay, here's one. This isn't the color I'm using today, but it's quite close. I just have I think it's deco pink in there. But see, I just have it popping through here and there, almost towards the ends where they curl around. You'll notice that's where I tend to place them based on where I think they would pop some light. So this is like the best example because you can really see how it's just popping out there. I know I have one in here. That one's a pretty good example too. It's just bouncy. I literally just did one that is like the perfect example. So I'm like, where is it? If I was smart, I would have pre-marked all my pages before this video, but for some reason I thought in my head they would be easy to find because I just did them this month. There we go. Okay. This one, this is the color combo I'm actually using right now on this hair. Now, this hair looks darker, but that's because I'm using less of the mulberry color, and I am blending larger sections, so that's why it doesn't pop out as much. And I did add a teensy bit of hot pink to this one, but yeah, see how I just kind of add it here and there to the bounce. That's my thing with Hannah Lynn hair. I just want it to look bouncy and fun, and so this one, I used that same color combo, but I removed the pink, and that way mulberry was more the focus. This is going to bug me because I just noticed a spot I missed, so hang on. So yeah, here are the colors for this one. One of my favorite purple combos, at least. So this is Black Grape 996. Then you'll go to Dark Purple 931. Then you'll go to Dahlia Purple 1009. And then Mulberry 995. Yes, these are all brand new except the Dark Purple. I did that for your benefit. The ones I'm actually using to color this are like this big. So I wanted to make it so you could see. All right. I'm actually just using my Tagal to sharpen these new ones. And then I am using the Splendor Blender from Lyra. You can use the Prisma one as well. This works just as good. This is Create Space paper. I don't know if it's the OCD in me or what, but I cannot stand seeing the tooth of the Create Space paper pop through. Like, it literally, I can't focus. So I was testing out the Lyra Splendor Blender on Prisma, and it actually worked quite well. All right, so without further ado, let's just tackle these sections here. So I'm going to take my Black Grape, which is my darkest color. I'm going to put it in here. Now I'm using a medium to heavy pressure because Prismas, the reason I like Prismas are they're smushy. Got dog hair on there. The smushy. So if you don't like the smushy and you want to layer, just do this method lighter. Just go over it lightly. You don't have to sit here and smush, but if it's not broken, why fix it? It's my thing. And it doesn't take a lot of, it doesn't take much from my hands. Like, my hands don't cramp. So see, I'm just adding the Black Grape into like areas where it would be shadowed a lot more. In fact, I'm gonna bring this one through her crazy eyelashes right down here because the bounce is right there. Okay, now we're gonna grab our dark purple, and in this case I'm filling this one all the way in because it's a little curve under the hair. Same thing with this little piece here. And then this one I'm going to leave a little open. Okay. Now I'm overlapping my Black Grape a little and then bringing it out, because that's the beauty of Prisma. You can smush them together, overlap them, and layer them out. Again, you can use light pressure and just keep repeating your layers. I actually did that over here this morning because I was just seeing how many layers it would take to cover Create Space without blending it out. And it took about 4, and that's 4 too many. All right, Dahlia Purple. So I'm going to take the Dahlia and stick it right up here. So see, we have a nice little contrast of color there. It might not pop up as well, in fact. Ooh, That might help. So you can see that tiny, tiny pop of color. Okay, so now down here, again, overlapping my previous color. I need to put batteries in my little nifty vacuum. Now I am very lightly feathering this right here. Do not leave a firm line with Prisma or any pencil. Okay, mulberry. I'm overlapping my last color, which is dahlia, and putting in my highlight color. And I'm just bringing it up, pulling it down. I had a spare brush. Okay, and then I take my Splendor blender. I'm partially saying it because I just like the name. And I just blend out the tooth. Now, if the tooth doesn't bug you, then you can skip this step. Now, the beauty of Prismas is as long as you got enough Prisma down, you can just press that into the tooth and call it a day. Now, the Splendor blender makes it all shiny over here. And it doesn't dull out the color like the Prisma colorless blender, so I'm really digging it. That said, this will not drag the color, so if you're trying to drag two ends together, you're not going to achieve that with a Splendor blender. You'll need to grab your Prismacolor one, just FYI. Okay, so let's color these two more sections here, and then I think you guys will get the gist. The beauty of this is you really don't have to sharpen a lot. You can do this with a pretty dull pencil because we're not flicking. We're just having some fun, creating some bounce, some natural looks. So again, taking my darkest color, which is black grape. I'm gonna start up here. And I just basically go where I would see shadows. And I also picture what of this hair is going to hit the light. Obviously, this big area is going to be hitting the light, right? But I don't want that to be one big chunky highlight. So I'm going to start taking my black grape down this black line. And again, I'm just using my medium to heavy pressure. You use whatever works. But the thing is with a Prisma, you don't have to like kill your hand doing that. Okay, and then over here, I'm gonna bring it down a little. Okay, and I'm gonna get in this corner because obviously this would be nice and dark. Could you add black? Yes, but you don't need it because the black lines are so thick in this book. I don't even think I mentioned which one this one is. This is Tattoo Darlings by Hannah Lynn. Okay, so down here, I'm going to make it a little darker for a little longer because obviously this is not going to have as much light, but I am going to have a highlight right here. You can see this big fat part of the bounce. I want the highlight in there. You kind of see how I'm angling it. Basically, the big curvature of the bounce, I'm putting the highlight near the end of it. All right, grabbing my dark purple. Just overlapping it and staying on frame. Overlapping it and bringing it down. For some reason, my camera is recording upside down. So when I look at it, I'm like, wait. So that'll be fun for editing. I'm gonna have to flip that. All right. Now I want the shadow down here, so I'm gonna overlap here and bring it out. Kind of go over that a little, cover up some of that nasty Create Space tooth. Again, you can just keep layering these using lighter pressure. I'm just impatient. As I've always said, I should have named my channel The Impatient Colorist. So I'm building up my darker colors to lead to my little highlight there. Now I'm going here. And again, because I want my highlight in that little bouncy area, taking my darker colors. Remember, this is our second darkest. Fading in, coming back down. Oops. Now, when you use medium to heavy pressure on Create Space, it will create a lot of dust. So just use like a brush of any kind and gently brush it away. Very, very gently. Never press hard with a brush. When you're using Prismas, it'll smush all over, smush and smudge. Okay, now we're on to our Dahlia purple. And we're just going to, again, overlap. The goal is to get enough pigment down so the Lyra can push it down. Because again, the Lyra does not drag the color. Now this is going to lead into our highlight color, so I want to leave a nice feathered transition. And I'm just going to pull this up, pull this up. So I'm going to get this one right here. Again, I'm just using my heavy-handedness. By no means do you have to do that. In fact, real quick, I'm going to go back to my dark purple because I want to bring this up a little higher right here. So I'm going to pull this up. Okay. Just push it back down over my lighter color because I don't want a big chunk. Okay. Then we'll go back to our Dahlia purple. I'll overlap that. Again, I'm just feathering it. Okay. Now mulberry. That's our highlight color, I guess we'll call it. And now I'm just gonna slowly bring that into the areas where I feathered it. And the great thing is the opacity of these pencils allows you to kind of cover things up. But you got to be careful at the same time with that opacity. Sometimes you might cover things you did not mean to cover, or you'll go a little too overboard. Okay. See, this is why I hate this Create Space paper. Ah. Right, now I'm just gonna kind of like fiddle with it. So I got my black grape, just adding some darker in here. Blow it away or use your brush. So I'm adding some black grape down here as well. Just darkening up where I want to between these two colors. Okay, I'm gonna take my dark purple now. Same thing, just adding a little bit more. Plus I want to make sure there's enough pigment for the Splendor Blender. There is right now, but see there's quite a bit of tooth from this Create Space. I'd rather have it a tiny bit more covered. So we'll just get that in there. Maybe. Okay, there we go. Okay. And I'm going to brush it off real quick. Gently, of course. And sometimes the little fibers will pick up the wax, so just keep that in mind on your brush. All right, so I'm grabbing my Dahlia purple. Just kind of getting some of these areas. Adding just a tiny bit more where I want to cover up the tooth. Now I like using Prismacolor on Create Space. In fact, I don't think I've ever colored a Hannah Lynn page. I've used Arteza, but I don't like those on here. Way too cran-like, I don't know. Not a fan. That's basically where I'm going with that. All right, now I'll grab my mulberry, which is the highlight color. Just kind of push that into where I want it. But yeah, I don't like the way Arteza is on here. I've heard people like Pablo's on here. I I just have a really hard time putting an expensive pencil on Create Space paper. And at the same time, I know it would take a lot of layers. I just like to smush. If I'm going to be on Create Space paper and I'm going to color Hannah Lynn, I just want to have fun and smush and not layer and stress about it. Okay, so let's blend it out. Again, this blender is literally here just to push that last bit of pigment nice and evenly into the, I hate saying the tooth of the paper because Create Space paper is so crappy, but the tooth of the Create Space paper is what we're trying to smooth out here. And you don't even have to do this. This is just straight up me not being able to handle seeing these tiny little white specks that you can't see from afar, but gosh darn it, I see them. And they drive me bonkers as I try to work on my page. But I do like this blender because I've noticed it doesn't dull out the color like the Prismacolor one. But the Prismacolor will drag it, so you can like pull your color across and use less pigment. So there's a trade-off. And this kind of gives it like a really shiny finish. In fact, I'm gonna fix some up here. All right, so let me zoom back out. There. Okay, dust her off. But yeah, the Splendor Blender gives it such a shine. Like, look at that when it catches the light. Woo! It's very waxy. But it doesn't seem to smudge once it's down. I don't know. I'll have to test it more. But whereas with the Prismacolor blender, it's definitely not going to smudge because that thing's practically a burnisher. But I'm not sure on this one. I'll have to do some tests and see. I just don't want to try and smudge my page. Okay, so there you go. That is how I color Hannah Lynn hair. So you can kind of see what I mean. I don't have big chunks of highlights. I kind of just gradually add them into little pockets and give a little bounce. Like down here, you know, I could have made this whole area one big pinky highlight, but instead I just added a few select ones and then I had it come like all the way down. Same thing in her curls. With curls, I tend to always dark and then have the highlight just at the end of each curl. And I think it just makes it look really bouncy. I know I keep repeating that word, but that's just what I picture when I color Hannah Lynn hair. It's just super bouncy, fun hair. And not traditional like flicking back and forth and all that. So yeah, that is how I color Hannah Lynn hair. You can do this with any combo of pencils. One thing I will mention before I go is whether I'm coloring a full size or these little enchanted faces ones, I still always have a minimum, no joke, minimum of 4 colors. I always have a dark, a medium, and then kind of like my, I don't want to say light, but light medium, and then I have my very light color. If I were to swatch these real quick on my dirty swatch paper here, I just want to show you. So see, that's a very dark color. That's black grape. This is dark purple, so you see the difference there. Sorry, let me zoom you guys in so you can see on my dirty scratch paper, but it's kind of important. So see how there's a gradient here? So dark, medium, light, and then my highlight color is always something really bright compared to these 3. So even if I have blues, I'll do like a dark blue, a lighter blue, or some sort of medium colored blue, and then another one, and then the highlight color would be something like cloud blue, like something that really pops. So do keep that in mind. Now I gotta swap this because I don't want it to get all over my page. But yeah, so that is how I pick my colors. And then, like I said, I always have a minimum of, gotta pin this, 4, even on these smaller ones. In fact, one of them, I think I had like 5. But like this one was, that's 4. But like, see this blue? That's an example. I had a very dark blue. I can't remember which blues these are, but that was definitely a 4. This was a 4 as well. Here's one where I actually did brown. That's a miracle. This one doesn't count. I was using C for whatever month we were on in the alphabet challenge, but it's not how I normally do hair. That was when I was first figuring out Hannah Lynn hair. Like I said, the ones towards the back are the newer ones. This was 5 because I added the hot pink. This is that same color combo we're doing. It's just I have hot pink added. But yeah, I do that for a very specific reason. So in this chunky hair, 5 is even more fun because you have more to play with. But always make sure your highlight color is very different. You skip a color or, you know, a couple in the color family range. And that's the most important to create this look, especially if you're going for my style. But yeah, guys, okay, I keep going into more details, so I will call it quits here. But this is how I color Hannah Lynn hair. All Hannah Lynn hair, no matter what color it is using the same technique. So I hope this helped. I hope to see you participate in the hashtag I have this month, a Whimsy January 2022. You can post it on Instagram. And then also I have another hashtag, purple hair don't care, Jan 2022, because I love coloring purple hair. So this image right here literally is working for both. And so yeah, I hope to see you guys participate in that, coloring any little Hannah Lynn image you want, however you want, and just have fun with it. And hopefully this will help you have some ideas for coloring Hannah Lynn hair. But until next time, guys, take care. Bye now.